Have you ever stopped to think about how much your life is influenced by social media? It feels like we're always connected, checking notifications, scrolling through endless feeds, and seeking approval through likes and comments. But is this digital connection really bringing us closer to what truly matters? Or are we simply drifting further away from our essence, trading depth for superficiality? The issue is that social networks aren't just communication tools. They're designed to capture our attention in almost irresistible ways. Every notification is a distraction, every post an invitation to social comparison. And so, without realizing it, we start measuring our worth based on the likes we receive instead of looking inward and recognizing our true strength. It's as if we're running in a race with no finish line, because in reality there isn't one. But don't worry, all is not lost. There's a way out of this digital maze, and it might be closer than you think. Ancient Stoic philosophers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius faced similar challenges over 2,000 years ago. They knew that true power lies in internal control, in other words, the ability to decide how we respond to the external world. With practical tools like emotional resilience, discernment between the essential and the trivial, and deliberate disconnection, we can take back control of our lives. In this text, we'll explore how social media impacts your mind, how Stoicism can be your tool for digital resistance, and what daily practices can help you cultivate authenticity, purpose, and personal growth. Get ready to dive deep into reflections and discover how to transform your relationship with the digital world into something healthier and more meaningful. The first step starts now. Are you ready to disconnect from the superficial and reconnect with what truly matters? Social media is woven into our daily lives in ways we often don't even notice. It promises connection, entertainment, and access to information. But does it deliver all of that without consequences? The truth is, while it makes some areas of life easier, it also brings significant challenges, especially when it comes to our attention, focus, and personal development. What if I told you these digital platforms are slowly undermining your ability to live with intention? Think about it. How many times have you started an important task, only to be interrupted by a persistent notification or an irresistible urge to check social media? These seemingly small distractions have a huge cumulative impact. Every time we shift our focus, we lose not just time but also the opportunity to engage deeply in meaningful activities. The result is a fragmented mind, unable to sustain the focus needed for inner growth. Additionally, social media has created an ecosystem where superficiality often prevails over meaning. Instead of reflecting deeply on our values and goals, we're bombarded with quick content, flashy visuals, and fleeting emotions. This style of information consumption can distance us from critical thinking and authenticity, replacing rich experiences with empty likes and comments. We're constantly consuming but rarely digesting. The psychological side of this equation also deserves attention. Studies show that excessive use of social media is linked to increased anxiety, depression, and social comparison. Why? Because we're exposed to idealized versions of others' lives, fueling feelings of inadequacy. When we spend hours scrolling through feeds, we trade real moments for digital illusions which can harm our self-esteem and sense of purpose. But there's hope. The first step to changing this dynamic is recognizing the impact social media has on us. It's not about eliminating it completely, after all, it does have its benefits, but rather finding a healthy balance. Try filtering the content you consume by following profiles that promote reflection, inspiration, and personal growth. Turn off unnecessary notifications and set clear limits for using these platforms. Small changes can lead to big results. So, what do you say? Ready to start this transformation today? Imagine this scenario. You're trying to read a book or study something important, but your mind keeps wandering. Suddenly, you feel an almost irresistible urge to grab your phone and take a quick look at social media. Sound familiar? This behavior is more common than we'd like to admit, and it reflects how social media is shaping our ability to focus. After all, when we're constantly interrupted by notifications and visual stimuli, our brain gets used to seeking instant gratification, and that undermines our ability to concentrate on what truly matters. The problem goes beyond simple loss of attention. Digital platforms are intentionally designed to capture our attention, often exploiting our emotional weaknesses. A clear example is the algorithms behind social media, which prioritize content that generates quick engagement, like controversies or shallow posts. This creates a vicious cycle. The more time we spend consuming this type of content, the less mental space we have for deep reflection or activities that promote inner growth. Without realizing it, we trade personal development for constant distraction. And what about social comparison? When we're immersed in feeds full of perfect photos and seemingly unattainable achievements, it's easy to start questioning our own accomplishments. This relentless pursuit of external validation can undermine our self-esteem and distance us from the internal control so valued by Stoicism. Instead of focusing on our own goals and values, we end up comparing ourselves to others, and that rarely brings positive results. It's like running on a treadmill, lots of effort but little real progress. But don't worry, all is not lost. One way to combat this negative influence is to practice deliberate disconnection. Try setting aside moments during the day to stay away from screens, whether it's during breakfast, before bed, or at strategic intervals throughout the day. Use that time for meditation or simply to observe the world around you. These moments of silence can help you regain focus and cultivate a deeper connection with yourself. Remember, digital balance is essential for maintaining mental health. Finally, it's worth reflecting on what truly adds value to your life. What kind of content do you consume daily? Which profiles do you follow? Making a conscious filter can transform your online experience. Instead of getting lost in superficialities, seek out influences that promote authenticity, purpose, and personal growth. Books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill or Stoic classics like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius can be great starting points for strengthening focus and emotional resilience. What do you say? Ready to start this transformation today? Let's talk about something that has probably happened to you. You post a photo or update on social media and then anxiously monitor the likes and comments. At first glance, it seems harmless, but this search for external approval can be a symptom of something deeper and more concerning. When we get used to measuring our worth based on others' opinions, we risk losing our authenticity. After all, who's really in control of your life? You or the numbers below your post? The problem doesn't stop there. The more we seek external approval, the further we drift from our true motivations and values. Instead of acting with purpose, we start shaping our choices to impress others or fit unrealistic standards. It's like wearing a digital mask that hides who we really are. And worse, when the likes don't come or when we see someone who seems more successful than us, we fall into the trap of social comparison. This dynamic not only undermines our self-esteem but also distances us from genuine inner growth. But why does this happen? The answer lies in how social media is designed. It exploits our basic human need for connection and acceptance, turning it into an almost invisible dependency. Each notification activates reward centers in the brain, releasing dopamine and creating a temporary sense of pleasure. The problem is that, like any other form of addiction, the effect quickly fades, leaving us wanting more. This vicious cycle can trap us in an endless quest for approval, while we neglect what truly matters, our essence and purpose. Fortunately, there's a way out of this digital labyrinth. One of the first steps is recognizing that external validation will never be enough. Stoicism teaches us that true power lies in internal control, the ability to find satisfaction and contentment within ourselves. Practices like gratitude can help in this process. Try starting each day by listing 3 things you're grateful for, without relying on external events or recent achievements. This helps redirect your focus to what truly matters. It's also worth questioning your own online habits. Why do you share certain content? Are you seeking approval or expressing something authentic? Doing this self-reflection can be liberating. By prioritizing real relationships and meaningful experiences over likes and comments, you begin to reclaim your authenticity. And remember, no one needs a perfect life to be worthy of love and respect, not even on social media. How about starting today to disconnect from this endless race and reconnect with yourself? If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the whirlwind of social media, know that you're not alone, and that there's an ancient solution to a modern problem. Stoicism, a philosophy developed in ancient Greece, can be your greatest ally in this journey of digital resilience. After all, the Stoics knew how to deal with external distractions and focus on what truly matters. They teach us that while we can't control everything around us, we have complete power over how we react to circumstances. It sounds simple, but this idea can completely transform your relationship with the digital world. One of the central principles of Stoicism is distinguishing between what's within our control and what isn't. For example, you can't stop social media from bombarding you with notifications or superficial content. but you can decide how you respond to it. Instead of giving in to the temptation to check your phone every minute, practice mindful content filtering and set clear limits for using these platforms. This not only strengthens your internal control but also helps build emotional resilience against digital distractions. As Epictetus would say, it's not the things themselves that disturb us, but the view we take of them. Another crucial point is learning to discern between the essential and the superficial. On social media, we're constantly exposed to irrelevant information that consumes our time and energy. Stoicism challenges us to ask, does what I'm consuming truly add value to my life? Or am I just being sucked into a spiral of superficiality? By adopting this critical mindset, you begin to prioritize content and influences that promote inner growth and purpose, rather than getting lost in empty distractions. It's like clearing the noise to hear your own inner voice. Additionally, the Stoics emphasize the importance of daily reflection as a way to strengthen our mind and spirit. Try setting aside a few minutes at the end of the day to evaluate your actions. What choices did you make on social media? Were they aligned with your values? This simple exercise can help you identify negative patterns and adjust your behavior. Books like Meeting Seneca by Anna Lamennais can be great guides for diving deeper into this philosophical universe and applying its practical teachings to everyday life. Finally, it's worth noting that Stoicism doesn't demand perfection. After all, we're all human. What matters is continuous progress. Every small victory against digital challenges is an achievement worth celebrating. So, how about starting today to apply these ancient principles to face modern challenges? Try setting aside a few minutes to reflect on your online choices and adjust your approach. Over time, you'll realize it's possible to navigate social media without losing your essence. So, are you ready to take that step? Now that we understand the basic principles of Stoicism, it's time to put them into practice in the context of social media. This philosophy isn't just a beautiful theory or something reserved for ancient philosophers. It can be your greatest ally in daily digital life. One of the most powerful exercises we can adopt is the practice of discernment. Whenever you come across online content, ask yourself, does this help me grow? Or am I just being sucked into more superficiality? This simple reflection can transform the way you navigate the virtual world. Another important aspect is the idea of internal control. Remember, you can't stop social media from promoting social comparison or offering instant validation. But you can choose how to react to these dynamics. For example, when you notice yourself comparing to others, pause for a moment and remind yourself that everyone has their unique journey. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, you have power over your mind, not over external events. This thought can help you focus on what truly matters, your own personal development. Moreover, Stoicism teaches us the importance of emotional resilience. Instead of succumbing to the pressure of likes and comments, practice disconnecting from these empty metrics. An effective technique is to turn off unnecessary notifications or even set specific times to access social media. This not only reduces anxiety but also creates space for more meaningful activities, like meditation or moments of silence. Small adjustments can lead to big changes in your relationship with the digital world. Perhaps the greatest gift Stoicism offers is the ability to find purpose outside of external approval. Instead of seeking validation in likes, focus on contributing something with lasting impact. Ask yourself, how can I use social media to share authenticity and inspire others? When you shift your perspective this way, you transform these platforms into tools for inner growth instead of distractions that drain your energy and attention. Finally, remember that resisting digital pressure doesn't mean abandoning social media completely but rather using it intentionally. Adopt practices like deliberate disconnection, meditation, and moments of silence to balance your online and offline life. Over time, you'll realize that these tools not only improve your mental health but also expand your ability to live with authenticity and purpose. So, how about starting today to apply these ancient principles to face modern challenges? If there's one thing social media teaches us, sometimes in the worst way possible, it's that trying to control what others think or do is a losing battle. But here's the good news: you don't need to do that. Stoicism invites us to direct our energy toward what we can actually influence: our thoughts, actions, and reactions. This focus on internal control is a powerful shield against the challenges of the digital world. When we learn not to be shaken by likes, comments, or fleeting trends, we begin to live with more lightness and purpose. Emotional resilience is another indispensable tool on this journey. Think of it as a muscle that needs regular exercise. On social media, we're constantly exposed to criticism, comparisons, and even fake news. Instead of reacting impulsively, practice pausing before responding. Take a deep breath, reflect on the situation, and ask yourself, will this matter a month from now? Or am I just reacting in the heat of the moment? This simple practice can help you stay calm and avoid unnecessary conflicts, both online and offline. Perhaps the biggest challenge of social media is separating the wheat from the chaff, or better yet, the essential from the superficial. With so much information available at the click of a button, it's easy to get lost in content that doesn't add real value to your life. This is where the power of discernment comes in. As you navigate digital platforms, practice conscious filtering. Follow profiles that promote reflection, authenticity, and personal growth. Unfollow those that only generate distractions or negative feelings. It's like cleaning up your feed to make room for what truly matters. Another important point is learning to recognize the signs when we're drowning in superficialities. How many times have you scrolled through feeds for hours without even noticing? This automatic behavior can be a symptom that we're running from something deeper, perhaps a need for genuine connection or purpose. Try replacing some of that time with practices like meditation, gratitude, or even a good book. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle is a great read for anyone looking to reconnect with the present moment and cultivate digital balance. Finally, remember that the true value of life lies in real experiences, not digital representations. Social media can be a window to the world, but it will never replace the impact of moments lived with authenticity. So, focus on what truly matters: meaningful relationships, goals aligned with your purpose, and a sense of internal fulfillment. After all, who wants to be remembered for the number of likes they received rather than the lasting impact they left on the world? How about starting today to prioritize the essential and leave the superficial behind? If you've ever caught yourself losing hours on social media without even realizing it, know that you're not alone. The problem isn't exactly the time we spend online, but rather the lack of clear boundaries that help us use these platforms intentionally. Without a well-defined strategy, it's easy to fall into the trap of overuse and sacrifice precious moments of real life. That's why setting boundaries is essential for maintaining a healthy digital balance and preserving your attention, focus, and personal development. But how do you do this in practice? A good starting point is to set specific times to access social media. For example, you can reserve 15 minutes in the morning to check the news or important messages, and another 15 minutes in the afternoon to interact with friends or follow relevant content. Outside of these periods, keep your phone on airplane mode or use apps that block distractions. This approach not only helps avoid compulsive use but also creates space for more meaningful activities, like meditation, reflection, or even a good face-to-face conversation. Another powerful strategy is to create clear rules about where and when you use your phone. For example, avoid bringing your device to the dinner table or into the bedroom at night. These moments are precious for cultivating real connections and resting your mind. Additionally, by setting aside screen-free time, you allow your brain to rest and process information better. This not only strengthens your emotional resilience but also improves your ability to focus on what truly matters throughout the day. It's worth remembering that setting boundaries doesn't mean abandoning social media completely. It can be an incredible tool when used with purpose. The secret lies in filtering the content you consume and following profiles that promote authenticity, inner growth, and inspiration. By curating your experience consciously, you transform your social media into a positive space that reflects your values and goals. Remember, you are the architect of your digital experience. Finally, don't underestimate the power of small changes. Try implementing a new rule for social media use today, for example, turning off unnecessary notifications or setting a time to completely disconnect. Over time, these adjustments can yield big results, both for your mental health and productivity. So, what will be the first boundary you set to regain control of your digital life? If you're seeking a life more aligned with your values and goals, know that small daily practices can make all the difference. Amidst the whirlwind of social media and the busyness of daily life, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. But here's the secret: authenticity, purpose, and personal growth aren't automatic outcomes. They need to be cultivated with intention and consistency. And the good news is that anyone can start today regardless of where they are right now. A powerful practice to begin with is dedicating a few minutes each day to meditation or silent reflection. This pause allows you to reconnect with yourself, away from the constant stimuli of screens. Try sitting in a quiet place, closing your eyes, and simply observing your breath. If you prefer, use this moment to reflect on your goals and how your journey toward purpose is progressing. Books like The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron can help you explore this inner connection more deeply. Gratitude is another transformative practice that can completely change your perspective on life. By focusing on what you have rather than what you lack, You create a positive cycle that wards off social comparison and the pursuit of instant validation. A practical tip is to keep a notebook by your bed and write down 3 things you're grateful for before sleeping. It could be something as simple as a good breakfast or a meaningful conversation with a friend. Gradually, these small moments of acknowledgement accumulate and bring more lightness to your journey. Additionally, it's worth taking time to revisit your goals and recalibrate your internal compass. Ask yourself daily, are my actions aligned with my values? Am I investing my time and energy in something that truly matters? When we connect with our purpose, it becomes easier to filter distractions and prioritize what fosters inner growth. A good habit is to create a list of priorities every morning and review it throughout the day. This helps you stay focused on the essential and prevents your mind from getting lost in superficialities. Finally, remember that personal growth also depends on the real connections we cultivate. Instead of spending hours scrolling through feeds, invest in meaningful conversations with friends or family. Share your experiences, lessons, and challenges. This not only strengthens your relationships but also broadens your worldview. And don't forget, authenticity isn't about being perfect but about being true to yourself and others. So, how about starting today to adopt these practices for living a more intentional and meaningful life? Let's talk about something that often goes unnoticed but has a huge impact on our mental health and personal development: the type of content we consume daily. On social media, we're exposed to an avalanche of information, some useful, some not so much. The problem is that when we don't filter what enters our minds, we end up overwhelmed by superficial, negative, or even toxic content. That's why learning to filter what we consume and prioritize positive influences is essential for maintaining digital and emotional balance. But how do you curate this? First, stop and observe. Which profiles do you follow? What kind of content appears in your feed? If you notice you're surrounded by posts that generate social comparison, anxiety, or feelings of inadequacy, it might be time for a cleanup. Turn off unnecessary notifications, unfollow profiles that don't add value, and seek out people or pages that promote authenticity, purpose, and personal growth. Remember, your feed is a reflection of what you choose to prioritize, so make these choices intentional. Another important point is diversifying your sources of information. Instead of limiting yourself to social media, explore other channels that broaden your worldview. Books, podcasts, and documentaries can be great alternatives for enriching your mind with deeper and more meaningful content. For example, listening to a podcast about psychology or philosophy while taking a walk can be an amazing way to transform a simple moment into something enriching. Diversifying also helps avoid the trap of instant validation, as these formats require more time and dedicated attention. Additionally, it's worth adopting a critical approach when consuming online content. Before engaging with a post or sharing news, ask yourself, is this true? Is it relevant to me? Or am I just reacting impulsively? This practice of discernment strengthens your ability to separate the essential from the superficial and prevents you from getting lost in useless distractions. As the Stoics teach us, we should always question our reactions and choices to ensure they align with our values. Finally, remember that the influences you choose have the power to shape your mindset and behaviors. By surrounding yourself with content that inspires emotional resilience, gratitude, and internal focus, you create a digital environment that reflects your goals and aspirations. And don't forget, this filtering doesn't need to be drastic or perfect. Small changes like replacing 10 minutes of endless scrolling with an inspiring article or educational video can yield big results over time. So, how about starting today to rethink what truly deserves space on your screen and in your mind? If there's one thing social media has taught us, and perhaps not in the best way, it's that the pursuit of external approval can be a never-ending road. Likes, comments, and shares may bring a momentary sense of satisfaction, but this instant gratification rarely fills the void we feel inside. The secret to escaping this trap? Developing solid internal validation, that which comes from self-awareness, authenticity, and alignment with your own values. Sounds challenging? Maybe. But it's also liberating. The first step to cultivating this internal validation is understanding that your self-esteem shouldn't depend on others' opinions. Of course, it's natural to want to be accepted and recognized, but when this becomes a constant need, we lose our emotional autonomy. Instead of seeking approval in every post or comment, ask yourself, am I doing this because I truly believe in what I'm sharing, or because I want to impress others? This simple reflection can help redirect your focus to what truly matters, your genuine motivations. Another crucial point is learning to celebrate your achievements, even the small ones, without needing to announce them to the world. Try setting aside a private moment to acknowledge your progress and feel proud of yourself. It could be something as simple as completing an important task or practicing gratitude for something positive that happened during the day. When you start valuing your accomplishments internally, the need for external approval naturally diminishes. It's like building an emotional muscle that strengthens your resilience and purpose. But let's face it, letting go of external approval isn't easy, especially when we're immersed in a digital environment full of comparisons and unrealistic expectations. This is where the power of deliberate disconnection comes in. Try spending an entire day away from social media and observe how your mind reacts. You might be surprised to discover that, without the pressure of likes and comments, it becomes easier to connect with your true thoughts and feelings. This time of silence can be an invitation to dive deeper into who you really are. Finally, remember that internal validation doesn't mean isolation or total rejection of social interaction. On the contrary, it allows you to connect with others in a more authentic and meaningful way. By seeking approval from yourself before anyone else, you create relationships based on trust and reciprocity, rather than superficiality. So, how about starting today to shift your perspective on what truly matters? After all, who's better suited to recognize your worth than you? Living in a world dominated by social media can lead us into a dangerous trap. Trading depth for superficiality. It's easy to get caught up in quick content, fleeting likes, and passing trends, but where does that really take us? When we look back, will these digital distractions have contributed to something that truly matters? The invitation here is simple but powerful. Seek meaning and lasting impact instead of getting lost in the whirlwind of the immediate and irrelevant. But how do you make this transition? First, start by questioning your priorities. What legacy do you want to leave behind? What values guide your life? These questions may seem too big to answer right away, but they help direct your energy toward what truly makes a difference. Instead of wasting hours scrolling aimlessly, dedicate that time to activities that promote inner growth and contribute to something greater. Whether it's nurturing real relationships, developing skills, or working on projects aligned with your purpose. Another important step is learning to filter the influences around you. Not everything that appears on social media deserves your attention. Instead of consuming content out of habit, choose to follow profiles and platforms that promote reflection, learning, and inspiration. Books like Daring Greatly by Brené Brown or Stoic classics like Letters to Lucilius by Seneca can be great sources of wisdom for those seeking to live with more depth. The idea is to replace passive consumption with an intentional approach, where every choice reflects your life goals. Additionally, it's worth exploring ways to create lasting impact in the real world. Think about small actions that can generate positive changes around you. Helping a friend in need, sharing knowledge with someone who's just starting out, or even practicing gratitude with the people who make your life better. These gestures may seem simple, but they have the power to transform lives, including yours. They also serve as a reminder that true value isn't found in digital metrics but in the authentic connections and experiences we build. Finally, remember that finding meaning is an ongoing process, not a final destination. It's not about achieving perfection or having all the answers right now. It's about being mindful of the choices you make every day and ensuring they align with what truly matters to you. So, how about starting today to rethink your priorities and invest in something that brings lasting impact? After all, at the end of the journey, what will really matter aren't the likes we received but the impact we left on the world and the people around us. We've reached the end of this deep dive into the impact of social media and the transformative power of Stoicism to reclaim our authenticity, purpose, and digital balance. But now it's up to you. What will you do with everything you've learned here? Will you continue to get lost in the traps of instant validation and social comparison, or are you ready to take control of your digital life, and, consequently, your real life? Imagine waking up every day with mental clarity, knowing exactly where to focus your energy and attention. How about replacing hours of endless scrolling with moments of meditation, gratitude, and reflection? Or starting to filter your digital content to prioritize influences that truly add value to your journey? These small changes may seem simple, but together they have the power to completely transform the way you live, relate, and see the world. Remember, personal growth doesn't happen overnight. It's a continuous process of adjustments, learning, and conscious choices. Every step you take toward internal control, emotional resilience, and deliberate disconnection is a step toward a more meaningful life aligned with your values. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just intentional. After all, as Marcus Aurelius would say, life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage and purpose. So, how about starting today? Take a pause and ask yourself, what are 3 changes I can implement right now to create more digital balance and purpose in my life? Maybe it's turning off unnecessary notifications, setting aside time for silence, or even starting to practice gratitude daily. The important thing is to take the first step. The rest will follow naturally. If this text inspired you and you want to continue exploring ways to live with more intention and depth, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. That way you'll have access to more content that will help you transform your digital and personal life. Remember, the power to change is in your hands. Are you ready to embrace this journey?